I would like to introduce our next speaker. Coming all the way from Thailand, we have Twitee Vajrabhaya. She is one of the two principals of the Bangkok-based design studio, Department of Architecture Co. The firm focuses on developing ideas in architecture, researches on social, cultural, and physical contexts, as well as takes on an exploration for alternative material utilization. So without further ado, let us put our hands together for Twitee Vajrabhaya.
Thank you, DATUM Conference, very much for having me here today. Our office, Department of Architecture, is based in Bangkok, and we are doing architecture and interior design and sometimes other related design disciplines. It's an honor to have a chance to share with you our recent work today. We will be discussing and exploring some of our projects on different possibilities of architecture beyond its form, on how it could be engaging with people, the community, and the society. I'd like to start with this small project called The Flow, which is a multipurpose pavilion. This project is a rare public space that is privately funded. It is started with a good intention of the client to give back to the society by donating an architecture to this community. They wanted us to design a small multipurpose pavilion. The interesting thing is that the client does not have a specific scope of what purpose of this building is to be. They let us decide. The location is on an existing large concrete platform on the beach. On this platform, there is not much on it. I think it is an opportunity that we could explore possibilities of the place of what it could become. For what use that would work well in this context? What would this place be able to offer? We have studied how to make the floor plan that would allow for possibilities for these activities to happen. The floor plan was cut and folded to allow for people to interact with it differently. People can sit on different levels to enjoy the sunset view without blocking one another behind because the floor plate is folded upward. They can sit as a group, chatting or playing. The folded floor can become an amphitheater for a small gathering or for a larger gathering like a performance space, etc. Or they can look back to watch a football game on the field behind. Kids can come here to do their homework, group work, or just to play. Or people can come to picnic by the beach. This is the study model for the floor plate. I visited the site in the afternoon. The bare concrete slab under the sun was so sweatily hot, but the site has such a great view. I imagine it would have been great to be able to chill out here all day if it was not that hot. Then I walked to the back of the plaza and found people relaxing there comfortably under the trees. It was right next to the site, and the temperature here dropped by quite a few degrees, which gave me quite a surprise. I looked upward and see a volume of small pieces of leaves overlapping one another. The ones above give the shading to the ones below until the heat does not seem to pass down. And the breeze carries the heat away through porous spaces between the leaves. Yet a little bit of sunlight can still shine through. Unlike a conventional roof, but like a tree. The project is in a way an experiment on the way we think about the shading differently. Not starting from the roof, but actually starting from what could be done to give a shading and a comfortable atmosphere. I started with these primary elements, stacked them one over another. The positioning of each element may be placed in a way that it is closed off and block more sunlight in some area and open up more to allow for the breeze and the sunlight to shine through. This is a ceiling diagram Superimposed with the plan show how the closed and open portion of the elements corresponds to the usage of the plan. The roof gives more shades where people sit longer and open up more at the entrance and the edge of the building. I choose the underlayer of the roof to be opaque to make sure that it stopped the sunlight where I wanted it to. And use this translucent material to play with the light on the upper layer. And the orange color is to contrast with the blue sky. And the study of the perspective and the pavilion. The floor is cut and folded up to provide possibilities of different usage. Different angles of the fold are ergonomically designed for a variety of positions, from a more inclined, relaxed posture to a more upright position. The fold, the entrance. Every detail of the building is for something. Even this ding of the handrail become a step for people to climb upward. You can almost see the section of the fold folding upward to become a table and folding downward to become a seat. A footrest become a playful facade of the building. Relaxation. The edge of the building folding down to become another row of seating.
Damn. Yeah.
Now we have a floor plan that is suitable for many purposes, but it's not quite specific. It is intentionally open-ended. The formation of the space does not want to be absolute. It is actually partially programmed, being ambiguous, and leave room for people to improvise. It is designed to trigger people's imagination on how to use it. It is an architecture of possibilities that embraces quality of indefiniteness and calls for people participation and engagement to make the space meaningful for them. The Commons is the next project. The Commons is a small lifestyle development, which most tenants are food and beverage. Although it is a commercial project, the client came to us with an intention to create a community space, a place for the neighborhood where people would want to come here as often as they like. This includes kids, grandma, grandpa, families, young couples, singles. Basically, it wanted to be a common space for all. If you know Bangkok, we are so lack of public open air space that works well with our tropical hot and humid climate. For quite a long while, we got used to living in an enclosed comfort of an air-conditioned space. We wanted to create a new kind of gathering space for Bangkok neighborhood. To carve out this little new open-air communal space out of this dense urban mass and provide a space for different kind of living space, although through this commercial project. This is quite typical residential neighborhood in Bangkok. There are actually quite a few green spaces, but mostly they are in private property. There are only a few green space for the public. The project attempts to carve out an open-air public living space folding upward as a backbone of the building within this limited footprint. We also need to flow people upward so that the commercial of the upper floor is possible. As you already know, the rental retail space on the upper levels become harder and harder to sell. So we need to use the architecture to push people upward. Part of the step, folding down to access the ground level market. Retail units are on the second floors. The open air backbone space is climbing. The big steps is an architectural device to flow people upward, and it has also become a place for people to hang out and gather around, as well as it is a flexible space for all sorts of events that can happen. The space continues to the upper floors. The space and visual connection flow through the large voids on the upper floor plates. The open air living space continues up. Looking down, the design provides a comfortable atmosphere for the outdoor living. Provide both mechanized ventilation and natural true ventilation throughout. The fans themselves become a feature of the space, pushing the wind flow both up and down, and also the skylight allows natural light to come through. The openness of the building allows for natural ventilation to flow through. In this way, we reduce the use of air-conditioned space quite a lot, and it's reduced the energy consumption, and also the light also coming down. We also don't need a lot of lighting during the day. The upper floor acting as an umbrella for the main living space below and protecting it from the rain. The backbone open-air living space is flowing upward through the building. The design to accommodate all sorts of community space in the living open-air living space. Sometimes it can become an amphitheater or dining spaces, casual sitting, place for kids, an herb garden, or even the lawn on the upper level. The private property is now become a common space for the community. The architecture takes the central role in mediating between the super high value property and the quality of life of people. By saying architecture, I mean the architecture, not only the architect. As this kind of an effort does not take only an architect alone in order to do it. It needs a collaboration between the architect and the investor. In this project, an architect proposed a space that would conceptually work in terms of architecture, but it is the investor who would have to be willing to sacrifice the crucial expensive rental space in exchange of a communal public space. However, they have to survive financially. The investor was willing to risk on a new typology that we proposed, a commercial space that dedicates such a large portion of a non-sellable area to be a communal space as never has been done before. And they need to try to convince their tenants to pay a much higher rent per square meter for the sellable space that they have left for this to be possible. And they are, in the end, they are successfully do that. The private architecture now become a community space where people can come and hang out and giving high return also to the business. So right now they are building the second one in Bangkok, in downtown Bangkok as well. The common space, the backbone of the open air living space, now becomes so many things where lives happen. Events have been happening here. Sometimes it's become an open air market, a music space, jazz venue, and art events, places for kids, etc. The space is not only a space now, it is a space of possibilities. It becomes alive and animated with people and community in it. So the life of the architecture is not just the substance of the architecture itself, but it's with the people always. Thailand Creative and Design Center, or TCDC, is a government agency with a mission to inspire creative thinking in the society and to drive the country's creative economy. TCDC is an organization that provides a broad range of resources and services, ranges from a design library, a material library, creative co-working space, a maker space, a design business consultancy. They organize exhibitions and various design lectures, workshops, events, competition. They publish and curate design books, periodicals, and design websites, etc. TCDC has now moved to this new home in a portion of this historical Grand Postal building. The design has to respond to this historical context in a way that it would have a new dialogue with the existing building. But most importantly, in this project, the task of the architecture is to provide an answer on how to make the place to become the country's creative incubator. How can an architecture become a tool to create changes in the society? How to help propel the country's economy forward in the segment of the creative economy through the architecture itself. In our design, we think that the creative space is not creative because of just how it looks creative, but it is a place that is designed to become an agent that can activate creativity and be a platform for inspiration. The architecture is thought of as a platform rather than a thing in itself. It is a place for people to come to be inspired, to look for knowledge, to study, to experiment, to explore, and it is to be a device that the TCDC as an organization can use to stage various design events, from casual talks to workshops, gathering events, large and small exhibitions. The free flow open workspace is planned to spread throughout the building. mixing with other programs so actions can happen everywhere and to cultivate the exchange of ideas and conversations. A reading space mixing with a cafe, a material samples and workspace sitting next to each other. The workspace in an experimental workshop or maker space is with the exhibition or display on its events. Creative space is about creating a space where people can connect and being inspired by others. A portion of the library is designed to encourage conversation rather than to be a conservative mute library space in a more cafe-like setting. Sometimes creativity needs a place for contemplation, a little more private, pocket spaces. So there are various kinds of spaces that people can choose as they wish. In order to create a space open for an exchange of ideas where people can meet and discuss, we need a core main space with a certain size where people can come to meet, to inspire, and to be inspired. Let's take a look a little bit on the existing condition of the space that we have. Actually, unfortunately, TCDC rental space that they have got was scattered in this existing building, in the left wing and the back wing of the building and a little bit on the top. They are not connected actually. And worse, the larger space that is large enough to be a main space is in the back of the building, which is not accessible from the front. And still no space was large enough for the kind of place that we have imagined. So we have to find a way. So we saw one possibility and perhaps maybe the only possibility to create the kind of space needed, which is on the rooftop of the building. That is fortunately a rental space that TCDC has also got. So we propose to make an addition on the roof and create a new space that will become the main central space of the design center. Now let's take a look at the cross-section of the building. From the section of the building, we also see the scattered rental space throughout the building. The new space connects the back wing and the front part, and the main vertical circulation is inserted to connect all of the floors together. A place that inspires should not surround you with the architecture that is trying to look creative, which in a few years, its freshness would have been worn out. Instead, an architectural system is designed to hold various sources of inspiration to surround you with things ranging from books, magazines, digital media, material samples to exhibitions. The system is created and inserted into the shell of the old building and make it wrap around various workspaces, always surround people with inspiration. The books here, magazines there, material samples there, digital media, display pod, exhibition pods, consulting space, display walls, some exhibition notes, even the design store, etc. The new system is offsetting from the shell of the existing, revealing but not obscuring the historical shell. It becomes a dialogue between the old and the new. Sometimes the new system is conceived as an object situated within the old, exposing the entirety of the existing structure. The system has become a material showcase, an exhibition corner, shelving, system can become a design store, and the arrival hall is a new system inserting into the old. And that's the system that is inserting into the building. And sometimes the system becomes thicker, like a thicker wall, and we punch the spaces to hold the area within the wall of the system itself. Like this design consultancy area and a pantry area. Or even the system become very thick and become the book stacks for the library that you could walk into. So this is the library area that the system is wrapping around. You walk into the thickness of the system into the book stacks. So wandering around within even the thickness of this system. The elements that inspire people cannot be static. It has to be updated and renewed. So we think of the exhibition space that is not only a separated area for an exhibition, but we inserted the possibilities of exhibition throughout the building everywhere, small and large. So you are always surrounded by fresh ideas. And it is by nature of creative activities that it is impossible to ever fully predict on what and how the space should be utilized. So we provide the possibilities of the flexible space. So anything that is fixed usually will be on the perimeter of the space, and in the middle it can be rearranged. Like a cafe can become a lecture space, or it can become a networking space, or the entire area can also become an exhibition space sometimes. The lecture space can be large or small, or become a workshop area or other kind of events. The main circulation route surgically cut through the section of the building, bringing people to flow past the different facilities to be inspired by what others are doing. It moves people through different spaces with large glass open up to every spaces. Creative space is to be open-ended in terms of the design, yet to be powerful to inspire. It is available for anyone, everyone. It is in the hope that to cultivate creative citizens and advance the country's aspiring economy, creative economy. The emergency school. In the wake of an earthquake that struck the northern part of Thailand in 2014, the buildings fell apart. So we come to think that there can be more role of architects in engaging with the society than the usual service to the client. Just a few days after the incident, a non-profit organization called Design for Disaster has get together with 9 architects to put forward effort in building 9 emergency schools in the most damaged area. The undertaking started from scratch, raising funds, designing and completing the project. And this is our small project, one of the 9 schools, in response to the urgent need. Steel structure, quick to assemble, earthquake resistant, very simple. We did a little bit of experimentation on the roof design to give a comfort for the microclimate. In this area, it is actually quite necessary to use a metal sheet roof because this area, they're also prone to hail storms. But the metal sheet roof is not good in terms of thermal. So we raise the top part up so that the heat can be able to escape on the top part of the roof. And trying to give a shading to the metal roof, sort of like a double roof. But we do not have a double budget actually. So we were looking for the cheapest building material and finally come up with this HDPE net that is usually used for plant nursery shading. The material is like $50 per square meter, very, very cheap. Then the roof is shaded, so it gives comfort to the users in the school. The skin is really simple. As we have a tight budget, the building cannot have anything more than necessary. The solid door leaves alternate with the wood slats. The wood stud and the structure is flipped outward, being exposed, and it becomes an ornament in itself. Layers of the roof. The school as it is now being used, inside and outside, the skin with the structure flipping out, the double roof, simplicity. After that project, the Association of Siamese Architects has invited the 9 school projects to exhibit at the Thai Pavilion at the Venice Biennale. We also, the 9 of us also designed the exhibition. The story of the school is on the digital display in the back. The 9 school models sits on the firm poles. And we place models of other generic buildings on a very, very thin wire. We actually install a spring underneath the floorboard. That's the model of our school. So when people walk by, all the other generic building blocks shakes and like an earthquake. And our 9 schools stand solidly on their firm ground. Our little latest project, the Little Shelter, is a tiny hotel in Chiang Mai, north of Thailand. Chiang Mai is a tourist destination with a rich culture, unique architectural tradition. These are Chiang Mai vernacular architecture, pitch wood shingle roof, wooden structure and surfaces. The site is located on the river. It is very small, so we built it fully within the offset line. Pitch roof but oblique, a little bit not so traditional. One side of the roof is carved out to become a roof terrace overlooking the river view. We decided to use wood shingle that is usually found on the traditional roof to be the main exterior surface of the building, extending not only at the roof but down to the walls, to link back to the local architectural tradition. But with a contemporary twist, we introduced contemporary translucent material cut into the same shingle units to become other parts of the wall. On the entrance side, the new and the tradition merged together, the front facade. The entrance, looking upward to the sky. The riverfront with all the rooms oriented towards the view. The translucent wall brings luminous light into the space. The installation hanging from the ceiling, made from the skeleton of the famous local Bo Sang umbrella. An interpretation of the local craft into the contemporary space. in the bar area. The interior of the rooms is a memory of local places and events. With the room, we have the pixelated wall, the same model as the exterior wall, but this time the pixel on the top part is mirrored. The photographic image of the places around Chiang Mai are placed on the ceiling. And all the different rooms will have different inspiration from different places around Chiang Mai. And the image get reflected into the mirror pixel on both sides, and they reflect infinitely in a very, very small rooms. And every time you come, you can choose different rooms with different places that is a memory of Chiang Mai. That's the Bo Sang umbrella. Thank you.